Hello everybody. I hope that everybody had a great weekend. The weather is cooling off here. It's actually nice not to have to deal with that 120 plus temperatures. It's finally getting to the time of year here in southern Arizona where the temperatures at least drop below 100 degrees at nighttime. And it's really, really nice not to have the AC on for at least a little bit of the day. I'm glad that Katy with Green Men Quilters is feeling better and she's home from the hospital. And anybody else out there, I know everybody's got their own personal issues and health issues, so I hope everybody out there can experience some happy, positive things, and everybody please take it easy and remember your health is more important than anything. So on that note, several people are doing the quilt that TeresaLouise I Quilt 2 came up with, and that is the FriendChip quilt. Not the friendship, but the FriendChip quilt. And I have all my individual components, and I'll show you how I do mine and put mine together. And I have one that's complete one block, which includes, this is what my one block looks like so far. And yes, it is done different colors. I would call this more controlled scrappy, and my star is a little off, but I wanted to add a little bit of me or a little bit of difference, and I wanted to put the best I could of what is called a wonky star in the center. It is still the FriendChip Star, but it's a little wonky, so I wanted to add that element in there. I don't know why, I guess just because I think it looks cool with it kind of sitting like it's sitting sideways. So I will go over what you would need to do to create this. To create this, you can either use 9 of these blocks. Now I'm considering this as a complete block, or 12. 12 blocks is a fairly good size quilt. And to create this, I'm trying to put this back here so it don't fall. To create this, what you're going to need is, and now I have to go to my notes I created, and I will share those with you. TeresaLouise put out her notes, and it's wonderful. I will share a link for you so that you can get the notes yourselves. And then I added to another one, I added some of the stuff I did, because I'm not using jelly rolls. And if you're using jelly rolls, you would need to you're gonna need, let's see, you're gonna need a jelly roll or one that contains 42 strips that are 2.5 inches wide. So if you're using jelly rolls, you just need to remember, measure not so much the length, measure the width and make sure it is 2.5. It's not going to hurt anything if it's over 2.5. But if it's under, you can still do this, but you'll have to adjust towards the end when you square the block up. So again, what you're going to need is that's to make the 12 with the big blocks, like I said. You'll need 42 strips, and then you're also going to need a half a yard of accent fabric. The accent fabric is what creates the actual star. So if you want to use one color, use white, use whatever. All of mine at this particular quilt will be white. I'm going to create another one that's a little bit different. And then you're also going to need the chips, because this is a potato chip quilt. It's just a little different. So the potato chip rectangles, you're going to need 336 of them. You can have them, each one of the components has 7 of the 2.5 inch chips in it, or 2.5 by 4.5. And then you're also going to need an additional 2.5 by 4.5 from your accent fabric. Then from either scraps or the jelly roll, you're going to need an additional 48 2.5 by 2.5 little squares, because you're going to snowball the upper right corner of your accent fabric, and I'll show you that. So let me show you how I did mine. This is no way the perfect way. This is just how I did mine, because I wanted to kind of create 4 at a time, because chain piecing is so much easier than just doing 1 at a time, and you can do 1 at a time. And if that's doing 1 at a time, let me get to another one. See, this is one component. Okay, this is one component. This is the snowball corner that you're going to sew from the upper left to the lower here, and it kind of comes in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's not. As many of you know from my videos, the perfection thing is just not happening. I don't do perfection. But this is one component, and you're just going to take, I'll get you 4 of them, but I will show you how these go together, okay? Every single one of your components, they're constructed identical. Even though they might be different colors, they're still done identical. You don't change the sequence of them. Your accent fabric is still here, okay? Here's 4. Let me get one with a different side on it. There we go. So here's one. It's created the same. See, with the little accent snowball corner the same. Here, all you're going to do is you're going to turn it a quarter of a turn. You're going to match up the bottom of this with the next one, so it's in line with it, okay? Just move these forward a little bit. Then you're going to take another one. Remember, they're all made identical. This one will be directionally challenged here. So again, you're going to do the same thing. This star is going to line up this way. Okay, and then you'll take a 4th one. Again, they're made the same. I grabbed 5, but that's okay. And you're going to do the same thing. You just line up this piece with this, so it comes like this, and that's the second block. But it takes 4 of these components to make one. So let me show you how I did mine. And there's excuse me, TeresaLouise and the others that are doing this block, I've done wonderful tutorials. I'm not doing anything. This is just how I do mine, because of how I process things. I'm not great at reading a pattern and being able to do it. I have to take that pattern and say, okay, or like in this case, I looked at the actual completed block, and then in my brain I had to put it in a way I could understand how it went together. So hopefully this helps, and hopefully it doesn't confuse anybody. But the easiest for me, and where's the rest of my, I cut out, okay, each one of the little components, which I showed you. Let me get mine under my little basket back here. Which when I talk about a component, that's one section. Okay, this is one component. It takes 4 of these to make a block. So each one of these components uses 7 2.5 by 4.5 little chips. That's why they call it chips. They're just rectangles, 2.5 by 4.5. Alright. And then one of the chips is going to be made from accent fabric, which in my case I'm using white. Your 2.5 inch squares, you're going to take them and you're going to draw a line, catty corner. See how I do my line? You could see it, okay? Whoa, and it just hit the floor. Oh. You're going to take that. You're going to take your accent fabric. Now, some people don't have to draw lines. I do have to draw lines. You're going to take the very top, where the line is, on the upper left corner of this accent block. You're going to put it there. Make sure it's at the corner, and just go down. And mine's a little off, which means my, and I didn't use jelly roll to cut mine. So this is what it looks like. Okay, and then when you sew these, you're going to sew either directly on that line, or what helps a little bit better is if you sew just a needle distance towards the upper right, because you're sewing this from upper left to lower right, down the middle. You know, it's about halfway it goes down. But I'm going to chain stitch these 4 snowbirds, or snowball star legs, so that they're done. So I'm going to do all 4 of them, and I will show you. And hopefully I don't mess this up. Or at least not too bad anyway. But I'm just going to chain. Oh, you didn't. You did. Oh, it does that sometimes. You know how it is. It does that. Hopefully my dogs are not too annoying for anybody. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Then I just do this. And I just rethread the machine. It does that sometimes, as everybody knows. And I'm not editing this part out. It is what it is, and sometimes I have to rethread my machine. It's not a big deal. The hardest part for me is on this machine. Yes, it does have a needle threader, but it doesn't work correctly, so I have to rely on all sewing machine needles. There's a slot in the needle, and usually I can catch that thread in that slot, and it works pretty easy. Yeah, I should have a leader on here, so it won't do that no more. Let me see if I can get me a leader. A leader is just a little piece of fabric. It's just a little piece of fabric. It doesn't have to be very big, and you just put it. Usually I do have a leader, I just didn't have one. And you just put it under the foot, so it sews on your leader and doesn't pull that fabric in. And that's all that happened. it just it pulled that tip in there, and machines don't like that. But a leader helps keep that little point when you're doing a point from going under the machine, or under the, keeps the needle from pushing it under the machine. Yeah, see, pretty simple. Well, not so simple, depending on your machine and how it's, you know, every machine's thread basic same concepts. Some just thread differently is all. Okay, and here's the second one. And because basically this is one is my leader, I don't need to put a second leader in there. And hopefully I didn't get these two off. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully they come out fairly like they're supposed to be. Although I don't guarantee that, never, because I'm not a, when it comes to sewing like this, I'm not a perfectionist. No, that's not me. But you can chain stitch all these together. I always, not always, sometimes I forget. Most of the time I like to do back stitch before, when I first start, and at the end, even though I'm chain stitching. It's just something I do. Just something I do. I don't know, maybe habit. Alright, now we can cut these apart. No, my machine don't have a auto cutter thing. It's not that fancy. I'm not going to press these, even though I would recommend. I'm just not going to because of this video. That's the only reason. Okay, so you have, this is your 4, and this is actually your star. These 4 make your star. So you're just going to push these up, make sure they're correct, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and iron these up. Well, maybe not. As long as it, no, I'm going to go ahead and iron these. Oh, 1 second. I don't want to mess this up, so I'm just going to go ahead and iron these up. You just kind of don't press them, or don't iron them. It's not necessary to use water, spray water, or starch, but you can, and it's based on if you cut your fabric on the bias or not. If you cut it on the bias for your chip pieces, which are the 2.5 by 4.5, you might want to use some starch or to make it a little stiffer, because it will stretch. And if it does, it's, you know, you just need to be aware of the stretch. It can be stretchy if you cut, or of course jelly rolls aren't going to have that stretch, but if you cut your own fabric, it may have that stretch, depending on how you cut it. And sometimes I don't pay attention and I get it on the bias and I'm like, oh, so I have to be real careful. So you just want to press those, and hopefully I didn't get any too bad. Not too bad, I don't think. Hopefully not. Hey, these actually look pretty good. Wow, there's a concept. So you've got them all pressed. Oh, hey, get back up there. And these are the star legs. And of course I use 4 different colors, as you could see. So what you're going to do is just fold this sideways. You can take your ruler and measure a 1/2 inch, because this technically is a half square triangle. Can be used. I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to cut it off. And then I put these little half square triangles for later use with the rest of the 1.5 million square triangles that I have. I don't have a million, but I have a bunch. I just haven't decided what I want to do with them, because they're in, you know, different sizes. I think the smallest I have is a 1/2 inch half square triangle. Oh, those things are so tiny. And yes, they're sewed together and they're ironed, but they are so tiny. And I thought about, you know, doing something like, actually that would work for this. Make little tiny pinwheels. That would look cool. And somehow incorporate, you know, little tiny pinwheels in here. That would look kind of cool. Okay, there's our 4. Okay, these are the 4 that make the star legs. So if you was to actually put these together, you'll understand. This makes your star legs. If I don't mess them up. No, I can't. I'm directionally challenged, so I can't. Nah. Anyway, this does make your star legs. I'll put it on the fabric and you'll see. Okay. Now what you're going to do is, now remember, this goes on. Let's get these little guys out of the way. Now remember, this component goes on the right hand side of this. This chip here goes on the right hand side. So what you're going to do then, let's put these down here and here. And I think I want that orange one. Okay, remember, we're only making one side at a time. Okay, so it's just focused on this. So you're going to have this, and let's put this with this. You're going to be sewing these two together. Okay, let me show you, which creates this piece here. You're going to take 2 more of your 2.5 inch chips, and that's for this side. For the center, you know, actually you can put these like this so you can see. Okay, let's move you over. Then your center, you're going to have 2 of your chips that go this way. Kind of put them in the middle. And 2 of them that go this way. And that's one component. And you'll need 4 of these. So I'm almost done with all 4 of mine, or all of my blocks. And so I just wanted to do, you know, real quick. Well, I don't know if it was quick. And hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. I got 4 last to make, and I'll have the rest of my components, and I can put them all together. Put them up here. Hey, where'd you go? I lost one of them. Oh, there you are. Now I want you. I'm gonna flip these. I think that's a 2 little wild. Yeah, mine are a little wild. Mine are a little wild, but that's the way I wanted it. That's just me. As anybody knows who's watched my videos, I like scraps. I use them, and this was a way that I could use up my scraps. I didn't sew any together. These were actual scraps that I had. Some were taken from 5-inch squares, but I cut 2.5 inch off of it. You can, if you wanted, for those that don't like the severe scrappiness, see, and this is not going to hurt anything. These 2 are the same together, and I wasn't going to worry about it. For those that don't want the massive scrappiness, whatever, you can make these, say 7 different colors, and then make all of the blocks those same 7 colors in the same positions, and it looks cool. It's just you're creating the same exact one 4 times to do 1 block. And again, it takes 4 of these to make 1 big block, which is this one. Which is this one again. That's this one of mine. And it's just a different, I just like I like colors. I like the looks of different colors. But that's a personal preference. A lot of people, they just, the scrappiness just, it confuses people. And I'm not after confusing people. I think that pattern TeresaLouise did is wonderful. I've done the FriendChip Star. Excuse me. Many times. I just have never created one this direction. And I kind of like how it's created. I really do. It's cool. Excuse me, I am so sorry. I may create, in fact I'm more than likely going to, and TeresaLouise mentioned it on her live, adding more stars, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I may, instead of, I'm going to make a second one, and on the second one, instead of, I'm not going to do it to all the blocks, because then I think it would make it too busy, but on some of them, instead of these two here, I'm going to add stars, and I'm going to add red, white, and blue stars. You know, one will be white, one will be blue, one will be red, because I think that would add a little extra something, and also be what most people call controlled scrappy. Some of it matches, but I think that's my idea. I just love, for whatever reason, I fell in love with this pattern. Under the description of this video, there will be 2 links. One link is TeresaLouise's actual pattern where she wrote it, and on the paper I put there just notes and little lines so that you could make your own notes. I made a second document. The second document again does include TeresaLouise's original pattern, and those are so hard to come by. I love original patterns because it's that personalness. Instead of seeing something that you know was typed on a computer, that personal, it adds a personal touch to the rest of what TeresaLouise does. She is an amazing designer. I will also include links to her YouTube. She's been doing this design of this horse using all these little scraps of fabric, and I want to attempt something like that. Unfortunately, my eyes prevent me. I'm going to attempt one. I just don't know that I can attempt something that intricate. I mean, I used to oil paint. I used to watercolor paint. I used to, and be able to do intricate details. I'm just not, I have to use large, it's these big, huge things that come down on my nails and to do my nails. And they're not exactly perfect, and I don't want them to be. There is what it is. But I would have to do that same thing, and I think it would be harder because I don't know. I'm going to attempt it. I'm not going to try a horse. I may try something like when I made the diamond painting I did of my big peacock, which I still haven't got it framed. It sits over here, and I have a big thing on top of it. It's like a basket. It's a big basket, and it sits flat so that nothing can really disturb it. And then on top of it, I have a piece of it's kind of thick plastic so that nothing disturbs those beads. And then more than likely what's going to happen to them, I'm going to attach it to a piece of foam board and then encase it in. I don't know that I want glass, because glass tends to stick more than plexiglass, but plexiglass scratches. So I haven't really decided. So right now it sits there. But I want to get it framed before something does happen. So, and again, I hope everybody get out there, as Tammy from Siberian Wind says, pet some fabric, pet some wood, pet something, or go out and listen to, like me, I have aquaponics, and listen to the waterfalls in the aquaponics, or watch fish in a fish tank. Most of the time I have TVs in all the rooms, and this one, it's always on, and the screensaver is fish, like saltwater fish, and it's as real as you can get. It's, I don't know whoever did the screensaver, it's a pre-screensaver, but the fish just swim by, and it looks like the scenery's moving, so that the fish look like they're moving. And so on that note, I hope everybody enjoys their day, and I hope this video was helpful, and I didn't take away, because Katy with Greenland Quilter, she did one too, and she did a live also, and oh, you'll have to bear with me, guys, I don't remember who else has done it, but there's been a I think Sherry, and I don't remember the rest of Sherry's handle for her channel, but she did a collaboration with somebody. I don't remember who. And they're amazing. And so, because I know how I learn when I do patterns, I had to go watch each one of them several times. And then, as you can see, if you download the document, you'll see what I go through, so that I understand what I'm doing to create something. It's just how I process things. I'm not great at reading something and being able to do it. I have to see what I'm creating, and then I do, in my mind, I take the pieces apart and do it that way. I can't, the directions just don't help me, because I have to break it apart. And like I said, I called this one components, and that's how I broke this one apart. So on that note, everybody, I appreciate more than you know you watching my videos, and hopefully they help someone. And again, there's 2 documents you can download for this pattern for TeresaLouise. If the download links do not work, please let me know. They should work. I've tested them many times. They are on my own domain. You just won't see it, but I do have a domain, and I've had one for many moons. I'm going to start putting patterns up on the domain and start sending a link. Any patterns that I put up will never be patterns that someone has to purchase or pay for. They will be free patterns that I have made, or directions of how I go about doing something. But hopefully that helps someone. And on that note, everybody have a wonderful, terrific Monday, and everybody please stay safe and find the positive vibes, and thank you again, everybody. Bye-bye.